What's going on, everybody? It is Mr. 560 here, 560 Gaming TV, and as the title suggests, as previously, this video is my take on, basically what I learned from watching 20 hours of reviews of Star Wars: the Rise of Skywalker. Now, I'm going to start off by saying two major things. One, this video, none of my videos on my channel are made for children, designed for children, or aimed at children in any way. So, if your kids are watching this and you're around them, or if for some reason you see them watching this and you don't actually take a chance to watch this video and hear me saying this, that's on you. If you're a kid, please hop off my channel. Stay away from what I talk about, because I don't have a problem with profanity. I don't have a problem with anybody saying anything that's on their mind. I'm a pro free speech advocate. I let the creators say what they got to say. It is what it is. Second thing is I want to say is I have not seen the movie. So I am not going to give a review or my take on the actual movie itself. This is merely about the people who are reviewing the movies that are fans. These are just regular people. I don't care if they're YouTubers with millions of subscribers and things like that. They're not famous. They're not, most of them, not all of them, but most of them are just regular, average, everyday people whose voices are heard by tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions of people across the YouTube space. And the reason why is because people trust what they have to say, or they like what they have to say. Okay, so my thing is, it's not even about me reviewing or basically critiquing their reviews. It's about taking some of the points that they were talking about and showing you how, one, there's some things that I really kind of think happened with this movie that I don't know if it's by design or if it's maybe something that's going on. I don't know. But let me start off by saying this. What did I learn? First thing I want to say that I learned is that whether people liked it, didn't like it, loved it, or hated it, the Rise of Skywalker, everybody has the same talking points, which is a major thing. It's like, when I say that they all have the same talking points, I literally mean they all have the same talking points. And I've noticed that there are bare minimum at least 20 major talking points that people discuss in this movie. Think about it like this. You get thousands of people going to the same restaurant. Then some people will touch on some of the same things. The basic things, you kind of like, all right, the basic things, yes, okay? And everybody will have their different synopsis on that. But literally everybody feels the same way about the same talking points. They just process it emotionally different. Because we see that this is supposed to be the last of the Skywalker saga, to usher in a new era of Star Wars, which we all know what they're really trying to say is, as some of the other people have pointed out, and I believe that a lot of the reviewers have actively ignored this aspect of the movie, of the trilogy itself. Period. Disney has really done its best, and I think at the behest of Kathleen Kennedy and all the other social justice creatures, to destroy Star Wars. They started off by telling people that the old Star Wars canon is no more. It's no good. We don't need it. That right there was the first indication. Because you think of it like this. Star Wars has a very long history. We all know it has a long history. But Star Wars itself is ingrained pretty much in the DNA of people across this world. Star Wars is so ingrained in people's minds and in their hearts that even other franchises and brands will make pop culture references to Star Wars. Star Wars has been that integral to life and society as a whole in this world in the past 40 years. Okay? And you would think that a company like Disney, a company that is known for creating brands and franchises and creating characters and stories that stick with people over decades, over time, that their parents want to show their kids and let them see. It's never been something like, nothing's been drastically different. You know, we got new Disney princesses and everything. That's cool and stuff. But the older Disney movies, they're a part of history. And people refer back to those. So you would think that a company like Disney would take a franchise like Star Wars that really directly aligns with how they have always put together brands and characters and stuff like that, and just do what they've been normally known to do best. But yet and still, Disney decided they wanted to take the Kathleen Kennedy approach, the more identity politics wise and feminist, and then try to wrap all of that into a Star Wars story. You know what I mean? It's like, you can't mind fuck people like that. You can't mind fuck people like that right away. Like, even if you tell them, you could tell them, oh, the Star Wars canon is. Not everybody watches the news. Not everybody listens to that. There are some people who are just casual people that watch these videos and these movies, and they don't care about the canon, but they do care about the movies. They do care about the trilogies. Okay? They do care about what's come before. The trilogies, the original trilogies and the prequels, okay, they do care about what's come before. And it's like you take everybody's whole mindset and says, okay, none of that mattered at all. It matters no more. Why the fuck not? If it doesn't matter anymore, then why are we even doing Star Wars? If none of that matters before, if what made Star Wars what it is today doesn't matter anymore, why are you doing Star Wars? Why? It seems pointless. It seems like a waste of time and money. It's a waste of Disney's time and money, and it's a waste of people's times and money. But all to bring about a narrative that hasn't been working well in media and entertainment media for quite some time now, several years now. Okay, and it's like no one decides they want to take clues. They just totally ignore. This is what people who are, and I'm sorry, I'll say it, feminists and social justice people, they totally ignore the past. They forget that there is a past. And they just keep trucking right on to the future. They don't learn from their mistakes. They don't realize that, yes, we will take empowered women. As a matter of fact, there's nothing to suggest that we've never had empowered women in any of our movies. Okay? It's just that there's never been any like identity politics, honestly. And that's what I think Disney has been really working on hard. They're completely infested. And I'm surprised the stockholders and all them and the shareholders, I'm surprised that they even continue to allow this, because they're losing money in the long run. Before Marvel, Disney didn't have any other big franchises besides what they had for themselves. I mean, they had ABC and things like that, but it's not the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not. ABC is a television network. Marvel is a house of ideas. It's a creative space. Disney has this great IP when it comes to Star Wars now, and they totally blow it. George Lucas made multiple billions of dollars off of this franchise, and the franchise itself was worth multiple billions of dollars. He basically handed this shit to them on a fucking silver platter and said, here, take this, just give me a little bit of something, then we'd be good. That's all good and well, but dude, you hadn't had a movie in like 12 years. And before that, before the prequel trilogies, back in the early 2000s, they hadn't had any movies for like 15 years. So in between that time, George Lucas said, well, I got the movies and the trilogies, and people love it so much, let's give them more. He started to create the lore and the canon. And he created groups of people within his Lucasfilm and LucasArts type of thing to basically expand on Star Wars through different media. Because I don't think he had plans for a television show or anything like that, which I honestly think that if he would have taken a serialized approach 10 years after Return of the Jedi, back in like the mid 90s, early to mid 90s, I think it would have prepped and prepared people for something like the Phantom Menace and things like that. And they would have been ahead of the curve, especially finding ways to kind of keep all that together in one cohesive cinematic universe. So they would have been ahead of the curve, but he opted to wait on doing any serialized until he started doing like the animated shows and things like that, and just kept going with the Star Wars canon, the video games, I guess, the comic books and the novels and the graphic novels and stuff like that. they all seem to continue to work for Lucas, as well as the merchandising and things of that nature. And then not only that, like I said, Star Wars is seriously a pop culture phenomenon like we've never seen it before. Like almost like we've never seen before. Now, you know what? There's probably others, but and one of the reviewers said, we're never gonna have another franchise like this ever. And I'm not gonna lie, they're probably right because of the way corporate structures are and the way people pander to things like identity politics, social justice, things like that. The escapism of movies is starting to lose the appeal of people wanting to escape to them. Because it's like you're following us now when we go to our safe spaces. When these people talk about safe spaces, Star Wars is a safe space. If you think about it, when you start fucking with someone else's safe space and then complain when someone starts fucking with you and you want to go hide in your safe space and we come after you, then you want to call the law and stuff. It don't make no fucking sense. How dare you come into our place where we just want to get away from this? Look, when we come back to life, when the 2.5 to 3 hours of movies is over, we have to go back to reality, okay? We need that. We can binge watch all 6 movies of the first trilogy, and the prequels all we want. That's still about 12.5, 15 hours out of our day. We still have to go back to life. We can't just keep watching this shit over and over again. We got to go back to life. We got to go back to work. We got to go back to feeding our kids. So we got to go back into the mold in the face of seeing the bullshit that you guys put us through. But to jump into our safe space, that is Star Wars, that is Ghostbusters, that is now they talking about Fight Club. It's like, and they're primarily male safe spaces. You realize that? Because it's like, no, we can keep beating you over the head with our propaganda. And if you try to run and hide, or if you try to run and go somewhere else and ignore us, no. You can't ignore us. You're not allowed to ignore us. We're going to come to where you're at. We're going to come to where you're going, and you're not going to ignore us any longer. You're not going to ignore us. But it's like, we haven't been ignoring you. You're just not satisfied with what you're getting, with what you want. You're not satisfied. We have not been ignoring you. You're just not satisfied. But to take this franchise and just throw it in people's faces the way they have been, it just sucks. How are you going to sit back and tell us that none of this shit is canon, and the next thing you know, you're taking from the canon, right? Why can't you just create your own? We would have been far better if you would have just left the Skywalker saga alone. That's not canon to you guys? Fine. All you have is the Star Wars name, okay? That's all you got is a Star Wars name. That's all you're living off of. Use the name as a platform to create your own. Sure, there are probably going to be some similarities to the old canon and stuff like that. Fine. Okay, cool. But essentially, it's your own. It should have been, why bring in Luke, Han, Leia, right? Why bring those guys in there? Why bring in Vader, Palpatine, all these other people like that? We were done with that. At the end of The Last Jedi, we were done with that. The prequels just told us the story before that happened. We had already been done with what happened with those characters at them, and we were fine and okay with that. You know, you got rid of Star Wars canon, so you wouldn't realize that, hey, Star Wars started their canon like at the Big Bang. They actually went back and they started telling the story and the narrative at the Big Bang. Their biggest turning point in their human civilization or in their civilizations and their galaxies was the battle of Yost. Right? Was it Yost or Yemen? The Battle of Yost. Okay, that is the point. That's the point in which the movies happen. That's the point in which the original trilogy happens. So, everything before that, they started telling the narratives of that. And things that are happening after that, they start telling the narrative of that as well. But Disney says, fuck all that. We doing our own thing. And they just completely killed it. They completely killed it. And don't get me wrong, you guys are killing, you guys are really crushing J.J. Abrams, but I'm gonna put it to you like this, yo. I think dude saw what was going on, and he loves, because if you look at J.J. Abrams, what he did with Star Trek, he did the same thing with Star Trek, but honestly, there was no identity politics in Star Trek, right? And he paid homage to Gene Roddenberry and his crew and everything that he grew up knowing and loving. So I can guarantee you, he saw what was happening with this trilogy and said, okay, I'm going to find a way to give them what they want, but I'm not going to slap people in the face with it. You're still going to get what you want, but I'm not going to sit back and shove this shit down people's throats because you're going to lose. No one's going to want to see this. I'm pretty sure he saw what happened with Ghostbusters. I know he saw what happened with Ocean's 8. I know he saw what happened with what was that other movie? I can't remember, but he sees this shit. And he sees it and he knows that people aren't going to go for this shit. It's not going to fly straight. You're ruining something that people have fallen in love over. You've ruined something that people probably made kids to watch in the movies. People name their kids Luke because of Luke Skywalker. They name their boys Luke because of Luke Skywalker. People have named their daughters Leia because of Leia Skywalker. We're talking people across the world. Across the world who are not Americans have fallen in love with this franchise. Why? Because it's the formula has stood the test of time. Because everything in it speaks to people. I mean, it's mostly a male space, and we're not going to lie. I'm not going to skirt that. That doesn't mean females don't like it, but your biggest supporters of this, you just basically slap them in the face and say, fuck you, we're going to do what we want, and you're going to like it no matter what, okay? And I'll attribute this to, like, you ever saw the movie Cruel Intentions? In that movie, Cruel Intentions, the one girl, I think it was the girl who played Buffy, her character says to the other girl, you may not like him, but that doesn't mean you don't want him to like you. And that's how it feels. It feels like Kathleen Kennedy is one of these pretty-ass prissy bitches that decided she don't like guys, but she wants us to like her. They don't like us. Because you can see that if they liked us, they wouldn't attack the fans. Okay? Fans have the right to sit back and critique the movie the way they want to. They're spending their hard-earned money on that. Okay? They're giving you time. They're giving you time that they can't get back. That 2.5 hours, 3 hours of time that they spent with themselves and their family, they can't get that back. And then you having these type of movies around, it's forcing them, if they take their kids to go see it and they don't know what's going on in these movies, they may not want their kids to be worried about identity politics. That's not something that a lot of people seem to want to have in their homes. But you're so willing to force this shit down people's throat. It's like, what? But you would think that Disney would want to sit back and protect their investment. You would think that Disney would want to sit back and create a narrative that's going to make them more money. They're losing money on it. And it's no one's fault but their own. No, it's nobody's fault but their own. They're losing money on it. There's nothing they can do about it. Nothing they can do about it. They lost money. And the only way they're going to get it back is if they go back to what worked, to the formula that works, and tell a new story, okay, in this franchise. Like, there's people who are saying stuff like, hey, we would have been fine with them explaining everything in the opening crawl. That's a slate of time in a movie that ultimately puts people in a frame of mind. Because what happens is there's things that happen in between the films that we don't get to see. So they put everything in the opening crawl. It's a little story. It puts you in the mindset. Okay, this is what's happened so far. This is what's happening now. Let's get you caught up in the opening crawl. Bam, that's it. You don't need to sit back and go through the whole point of trying to tell the story that you really should have told in the opening crawl. Just tell a brand new story. In the video that I posted yesterday, I went back in and I put in time references to really specific things that I liked about what some of these reviewers were saying. And it kind of helps get me to a certain point. So I opened up the highlights with the first highlight from Chris Stuckman for a purpose. Just like I was saying earlier about how, people bond with their children over this stuff. Chris Stuckman starts talking about how his father didn't like movies, and I've met people like that don't like movies. He starts talking about how his father didn't like didn't like movies, period, but loved Star Wars. So that was the only, and they thought about him not liking movies. But Star Wars was the only thing that he could really connect with his dad about. So it has an emotional thing that the two of them can connect. It don't matter. My dad doesn't like movies, but we can watch Star Wars together. And this is what I'm trying to explain is that Disney just ignored the fact that people have this. They ignored it. They ignored the fact that people have connections to Star Wars, not just to the movie themselves, but to other people, to their families, to their friends, to places in their lives that they go. There are Star Wars themed bars and restaurants, or places that have Star Wars themed food. Disney knows this kind of stuff because they've done it before. Disney is a franchise. Disney is a company that is known to create brands and franchises and characters and stories that have stuck with people over time, that people have bonded with their kids with. You know how many Disney movies I sat there and watched with my kid from days back, from years ago? A lot. I'm still trying to find Flight of the Navigator to watch with him. Compliance. I believe that's a Disney movie. If it's not, whatever. I've watched all these old movies that I used to watch as a kid growing up. My son is only 7 at this time. I've been watching them ever since he turned 5. And in between 4 and 5, where he could kind of really like enjoy these movies, I watched them. I've watched movies like The Goonies, Monster Squad, Big Trouble Little China, The Last Dragon, Never Ending Story. The list goes on, man. I've watched so many of these crazy old movies back in the day with him. Oh, we watched Ghostbusters together, part 1 and part 2. He was supposed to go and watch, on like the 3rd. It was either the 3rd or the 2nd. Him and his mother had like free tickets to go to the movie, see whatever movies they want, right? So he goes, and I thought because he loves Star Wars, I'm not sure if he saw The Last Jedi. I know he saw The Force Awakens, but I'm not sure if he saw The Last Jedi. I asked him. He didn't see. He's like, I don't think so. I don't know. So if he's never seen The Last Jedi, I'm not going to show it to him. I'd rather him watch The Rise of Skywalker than watch The Last Jedi. So I said, son, why didn't you go see Star Wars? Oh, he said, I wanted to, but you know what? I have the right to change my mind at the last minute, don't I? I was like, yeah, okay. When he said that, I was like, I don't even know your reason, son. You got a point. You got the right to change your mind whenever you want. I'm not going to say anything about that. So for him to sit back and skip on The Rise of Skywalker, I'm thinking maybe he did see The Last Jedi. I didn't like that. And I'm thinking maybe he likes The Force Awakens. Okay, he likes it a lot because of BB-8. He likes the new droids. You know, he's a kid. He wants to know what toys are going to come out from this stuff. But he also likes seeing a really cool story. Because when him and his cousins and all of them get together and they're outside playing, somebody's going to be Kylo Ren. Someone's going to be, no one wants to be Rey. Unless it's a girl. The girl can be Rey. But then they can say, okay, you're Rey, I'm Luke Skywalker. Oh, I'm Han Solo. Oh, I'm Darth Vader. Oh, I'm Kylo Ren. Then you got another girl people like, well, I'm Princess Leia. Now they have a good amount of people to, do that. But all the girls who are going to play Rey, they're going to be like, oh, I'm more powerful than you. I can grab a ship out of midair. Yeah, it is what it is. But at the same time, these movies from before have shown kids what it's like to struggle through what you're trying to do, to work hard for what you want, and to reach a new level by working hard at it and focusing and things like that. Like those are positive things you want to teach your kids. You don't want to teach your kids, oh, you don't have to try to reach this level. You are already at that level. You just need to realize that potential is already there, that you don't have to do no work for it. You don't have to work for it. Just if you say that you're the most powerful Jedi, you are the most powerful Jedi. You don't have to work for it at all. Like, that's some bullshit, right? The next one, Pay Her Weight, says she was disappointed like parents whose kids made bad decisions. Ha! Yes. And Bob Iger is like, he's disappointed in his own decisions with the franchise. He knows it, but he's trying to save face. You want to save face? Get Kathleen Kennedy out of there. Emergency Awesome, great channel who, when I watch his stuff, he doesn't do, when he usually discusses movies, he doesn't really go into, he goes into what happens in the movies most of the time. And he doesn't really, I've watched so many of his movie reviews and trailers and reviews and stuff like that. He just discusses things that people may have questions on their mind. Why is this way, that way, whatever. He doesn't really go from the whole, this doesn't make sense, or why are you doing it this way, this shit sucks. No. For the Rise of Skywalker, he definitely went that route. Chris Stuckman, Emergency Awesome, and The Amazing Lucas are the main reasons why I made this, why I went on this journey of watching all these people's reviews, because everybody was saying something different, but it always seemed like they always had something, they had the same things to say. So, Emergency Awesome discusses how Disney never involved the Star Wars focus groups. Lucas specifically created the Star Wars focus groups for the purposes of making sure they keep up on all the stuff that the fans are keeping up on, all the canon. Anything that they create that they consider canon and the fans absorb it and they know it, the focus groups keep that, they know all of that. They keep all of it. They got notes, they got books, they probably got gigabytes worth of data, terabytes worth of data of just stuff that they've known, that fans have said, that they've done said, all the canon, they know all this stuff. So when Charlie and Emergency Awesome came out and said that, hey, these guys weren't even involved, I'm saying here like, what? He even went to the point of saying, it doesn't surprise him. Because he realizes that, hey, there's so much stuff that you guys just missed the boat on. While trying to tell a story within a certain, you didn't even, there's a point where Terrence Popp says, in the video way towards the end of the highlight reels, Terrence Popp basically says there are certain rules in their universe that they abide by, meaning like their rules of physics, their rules and their guidelines of how things are governed, the laws are created, people and lives are built and destroyed, civilizations and all this other stuff. They built all of this. This is why I think George Lucas is actually from one of those galaxies far away. He just was shipped back here through time, not through time, but through space. He was actually shipped over here, and maybe that whole galaxy was about to die, and they decided to tell the world. He decided to come over here. He's the last remaining. I don't know, some bullshit ass theory I've been thinking of. Same thing with Gene Roddenberry. I think Gene Roddenberry's from the future. So anyway, but yeah, not to involve the focus group means that you don't even want to consider the specific laws of that govern that universe. They completely ignored all of that. Ignored it. Austin Burke proves that the terms, by the way, is a movie's cop-out for convenience. Everyone talks about things being way too convenient in the movie. Okay? And that even when they don't answer certain questions when they're supposed to, in order to wrap everything up, they say things like, well, I know you from here, and you're this person, and you're that person, and by the way, and it's like, dog, I can completely get that. You know what I mean? It's like, don't be convenient for convenience sake, Like, for real, come on. Star Wars Theory says that he predicted Rey's bloodline way back based on her fighting style. And there were certain things that she did when she fought that he was like, yo, we've seen that before. There's like only one other person who's ever done that before. And it was Palpatine. And he said he predicted that, which I think is pretty cool. Even though they said Star Wars is this, that, and the other, the new Star Wars doesn't, go through canon. We've seen this stuff before, so we know. People pick that shit up. They notice that stuff. Beyond the trailer, Grace said beyond the trailer, she connected Disney's blatant rip-off of Avatar to Rey. Avatar: The Last Airbender. And that kind of made me think, what? But when you think about it, J.J. Abrams is pretty much, all he does is he just borrows. You know what I mean? He can start and do things on his own, but when he's using someone else's property and stuff, he just kind of borrows from everyone else's. Maybe he does on his own too. Like, he just borrows from everyone else's properties. You know what I mean? And I'm not sure if he was the one who created the character design for Rey, but, if she immediately looks like this monk-like character from Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's like, come on, who are you fooling, Disney? Come on. And they do it often. GameSpot Universe says J.J. Abrams never closes successful projects he makes. Now, I never knew this. I thought that because he created Lost, like the first 2 seasons of Trails of Lost and another show, never finished it. He just kind of said, he just said peace out, like he's gone. He's like, let somebody else do it. Beyond the Trailer said that when J.J. Abrams left the franchise, the Star Wars franchise, he just kind of left clues and little hints about where he wanted to go with this. Like, he didn't leave any exact things. And you know that I don't think that's Abrams' fault. I think that's Kathleen Kennedy's fault, because not just them, but her and Disney, because they didn't go into this with a plan. So they didn't go into it with a plan. So they decided, after you're done with this movie, we're going to give it to another person. We're going to give everybody a chance. And then when they realized they're having 3 separate directors kind of take the vision of what they wanted Star Wars to be, as long as they gave you what you wanted, it's not a great recipe. So they brought J.J. Abrams back. But yeah, they said he never closes what he makes. So, you know, now they're talking about a new J.J. Abrams cut. Maybe he'll close it this time. Who knows? Angry Joe Show wonders, why are they hyperspace skipping? And this goes to another person who says that time is something that they always kept note of in the Star Wars universe. When you went from one scene to the next, you knew somebody was hyperspace jumping to another area. But in between that time, stuff went on. Maybe, you know, time went on. They always showed the progression of time. They didn't just do a hyperspace jump and then you land where you're at. No, here you go, hyperspace jumping still took some time. It took a lot less time than what it would if you didn't hyperspace jump, but hyperspace jump took less time, you know, faster than FTL drives and shit like that. So what they did was, even on Star Trek can go from one area to the next at warp 9 speeds. Okay, warp 9.0. I think warp 10 is just something they really just started realizing within like the last few movies or something. But here they are. They go to warp 9 speed, which was the highest speed. Even at warp 9, it took time for them to get to certain places. And in between and during those times, they cut to certain scenes where people were talking. Okay, what are we doing while we're warp speeding to this area? What are we doing in Star Wars while we're hyperspace jumping? And then they do hyperspace skipping, and he's like, and people are like, why? What the fuck are you doing? Some people liked it though. I'm not gonna lie. There are people who liked it, who thought it was cool. Some people thought it was garbage. So they make it. Amazing Lucas exposes Disney's blatant ripoff of the movie Step Brothers. And it's like, what? People making connections between so many other movies is like, wow, I didn't even notice that. It's like, where do you get these people who are writing movies from? This is why you can say the movie dialogue is so bad. It's because if you can rip off other people's favorite movies and expect them not to notice that shit, you know what I'm saying? You're fucked up. We don't rip. Star Wars is not a movie that rips off of other movies. It never has been. Star Wars has been the movie that takes influences from other genres of films. Influences. Okay? Meaning, if someone uses samurai swords in a certain way, then we use those as an influence. We don't directly, blatantly rip off a certain specific scene in a movie for that. Okay? But that's what they did. But Step Brothers? Seriously? Step Brothers? Come on, Star Wars. Come on, Kathleen Kennedy. E.T. Entertainment Tonight Canada demonstrates why the SJ wokeness around this movie is absurd. There's a certain part in the movie where supposedly there is a lesbian kiss or something like that. And it's like making headlines now. He feels like it's bullshit. And this is another thing. It's like, come on. Seriously? I don't think that they had, I don't think they did a great job of representing other diversities and cultures. But really, people don't think about that shit when they think about Star Wars. And it's an escape. And to me, when it comes to social justice and inclusion, diversity, feminism, they totally missed the mark with this new trilogy. They missed the mark on all of this stuff. They missed the mark on Captain Marvel and everything. Like, come on, guys. You guys think that we're stupid. We're supposed to believe what you want us to believe. Like, we're stupid. Like, we don't see this shit. Like, we don't realize, like, what are you talking about? Like, get the fuck out of here with that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to do my best to cut this down. If you like what you heard, please do not hesitate to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications bell so that you can get updated when I release videos. I don't have an actual time frame to release videos. I just do whatever I can. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment on the video. Tell me what your thoughts are of the movie if you've seen it already. If you haven't, what you thought about the reviewers. If you heard anything if you watched the highlight reel, tell me what you heard in that highlight reel that you never even thought about, that never even crossed your mind, because a lot of stuff that came in there, I didn't even cross my mind. Hopefully I'll be able to get back to you guys with a new video soon. I got some other content I've been working on, just trying to get it out in a timely fashion. I hope you guys enjoy everything. Once again, Happy New Year to you if I haven't said that already. And you know what? Going forward, let's hope that Disney corrects this error. We got this J.J. Abrams cut of the movie coming out, possibly. So let's see what happens there, right? Y'all take it easy, man. Peace.